Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep today into something that sounds, well, incredibly bureaucratic, ship registration numbers.
Right, not exactly filling on the surface.
Exactly. But when you look at the latest World Fleet Monitor data, these numbers are actually telling this incredibly dramatic story. It's all about global friction, high stakes evasion.
It really is.
So our mission today is to explore how this wild seesawing of flag tonnage ships changing flags perfectly mirrors that whack-a-mole game, the one Western authorities are playing trying to crack down on the so-called dark fleet.
And what it tells us about geopolitics right now, which are, let's face it, incredibly frayed.
Mm.
And the key thing, I think, is the sheer volatility. It's unprecedented. We've just never seen monthly registry numbers shift so extremely as they have this year.
So flag hopping is the new norm.
It seems that way. It's become like standard operating procedure for literally thousands of vessels, all driven by these extraordinary sanctions and uh, geopolitical pressures in 2025.
Okay, let's talk scale, because this isn't small stuff. This dark fleet or shadow fleet, what exactly are we talking about? What are these ships carrying?
Primarily, they're moving sanctioned cargoes. Think Russian crude, Iranian oil, the Venezuelan products, stuff operating way outside the usual global regulations and
Yeah,
norms.
and the deception
It's
involved.
pretty staggering.
Yeah.
Maritime analytics firm Windward, they're reporting flag hopping at record levels.
Yeah.
Right now, we know of 12 fraudulent registries actively operating. Get
Oh,
this.
wolf, wow.
Yeah. And 57 of tankers known to be under sanctions are either flying false flags or they're just completely unknown,
Yeah.
not even listed in the International Maritime Organization databases.
Wait, hang on. 57% are unknown to the IMO, the actual UN agency supposed to regulate shipping safety?
That's the data, complete ghosts in the official system.
That level of deliberate opacity is just astonishing. Okay, so let's get to that whack-a-mole cycle. Authorities apply pressure, they whack one flag. Where does the tonnage surge next?
It flows naturally to the path of least resistance. And for a really stark example of how fast these evasion tactics work, you just have to look at Benin.
Benin, okay.
This year alone, Benin's ship registry has grown by almost 50,000%.
50,000. That number sounds unreal. That's not a typo.
Not a typo.
Yeah.
50,000%. We know, for instance, Iran has used this registry for its huge ships, even VLCCs, those massive crude carriers.
Okay.
And just recently, the French authorities actually detained a Benin-flagged tanker, the Bourriquet, a mid-sized vessel caught under that newly inflated flag. Gambia is another one, shooting up the Clarkson's rankings of 574%.
So that incredible growth, that's the mole popping up somewhere new. A clear sign these registries are being, well, co-opted. But does the hammer ever fall effectively? Does whacking the mole work?
It does, yeah.
Okay.
But the tonnage just slides elsewhere. We saw this play out clearly with the Comoros Island.
Ah, right. They shot up earlier this year.
Yeah. Exactly, into the top 30 biggest flags. But then they slid back quite significantly. Went from about 9.9 million gross tons, that's the standard measure for fleet size gross tonnage, down to 7.8 million.
A big drop. So ships fled that flag. Why? What prompted the Comoros cleanup?
Direct result of international pressure. The Comoros government started cleaning house right after the EU, and the UK sanctioned a company called Intershipping Services.
Okay. Intershipping.
They're based in the UAE, and they were operating the flags for both Comoros and Gabon. And Gabon was heavily linked with moving Russian crude.
Ah, the connection.
Precisely. So Gabon's fleet size has also dropped significantly, along with Guinea-Bissau. The tonnage movement, it's like a direct ledger. You see the evasion, then you see the crackdown.
So the dark fleet is definitely driving this volatility, down the league table. But is it only about sanctions evasion? Let's look at the top, the heavyweights. Is broader trade conflict reshaping things there too?
Absolutely. It's not just the dark fleet story.
Yeah.
If you look higher up, Liberia now has this commanding lead over Panama, like a 50 million gross tonnage lead. That's huge at the top.
Wow.
But maybe even more telling, Singapore looks set to jump over Hong Kong into fourth place globally.
Okay, Singapore leapfrogging Hong Kong. That's a major shift between two massive, sophisticated Asian shipping hubs. What's behind that?
That seems to be more about, well, economic tensions. trade warfare, essentially.
How so?
Big shipping companies, names like Pacific Basin and Seaspan, they're actively shifting tonnage away from the Hong Kong flag.
Yeah.
And it seems they're doing it to avoid new U.S. port fees.
Ah, fees specifically targeting ships previously flagged in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Related to the Trump administration's policy.
Exactly. So the flag data isn't just showing us sanctions fallout, it's reflecting these wider commercial policies and trade tensions playing out.
Okay, so wrapping this up. What this really means for you, listening, is that these seemingly dull flag numbers, they're far from it. They are a live, real-time ledger of conflict, sanctions evasion, and global trade wars.
And it really leaves you with a pretty unsettling question, I think, about stability. If these global registries can just, explode in size overnight like Benin 50,000% growth or suddenly clean house under pressure like Comoros,
Yeah.
then how can the international community possibly build stable, reliable governance over global shipping? What does all this chaos, this rapid change, actually mean for the stability of our global supply chains when the very identity of the ships carrying the world's goods is so fluid, so easily manipulated? Something to think about.